Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Get deep. Seider. Oh, scores! What a shot!
Oh my God.
Red Wings win it 4-3.
Oh! Big hit by Seider. Big time.
After an extremely impressive and dominant rookie campaign, Moritz Seider this past season would take home the Calder, because what separates Seider from other defensemen of the future is the fact that he yields an extremely rare combination of physicality. He spent last season making seasoned veterans look like children, while at the same time showcasing his elite skill levels, shutdown ability, and he scores touch.
Seider scores!
The definition of a complete defenseman. Seider looks like a future several-time Norris winning defenseman, and already looks like the best player from his draft class. So why? Why did 5 NHL teams pass on Moritz Seider? Who got selected ahead of him, and where are they now? Born in the small town of Zell, Germany, even though this was a very untraditional hockey market, Seider would develop extremely well, as he was a man playing amongst boys, which is why Seider was routinely playing against older competition. In 2018, after another great year of development, Seider would be drafted in the CHL import draft, where he would get the chance to come to North America and showcase his talent to more scouts. However, he would opt to stay in Germany, as he would make the top German professional league, the DEL. As Moritz Seider would set a precedent, would even inspire Tim Stützle, showing that just because you play in an underscouted league does not mean your talents will go unnoticed. And in his DEL rookie season, Seider would impress, as he was the second youngest player in the league and was laying the boom against men and former NHL players. And even though Seider didn't put up a ton of points, he would, however, demonstrate a strong two-way game, which proved pivotal, as he would play a big role in his team winning the league championship, on top of claiming Rookie of the Year. And following all of this early success, Seider would join Leon Draisaitl, representing Germany in the World Championships, where Seider would become the youngest defenseman in tournament history to score a goal.
The chase back to the play. Look where they're coming from up.
And make it 2.
He has Great Britain scrambling, and they score!
However,
Seider!
even though Seider looked like a two-way monster, he would be ranked across the board between 15 and 25. June 21st, 2019, newly appointed Red Wings GM Steve Yzerman would make his first draft selection in team history, and he would shock the draft board.
The Detroit Red Wings select from Mannheim of the DEL, Moritz Seider.
As Moritz Seider would be drafted 6th overall. And it's not that he wasn't an intriguing talent. No, what made the selection so shocking was the fact that it was considered a massive reach. And this selection would cause many Red Wings fans to lose their minds online.
19. What the Wow, a waste of a 6th pick, top 4D, man, while the first center was still available.
Shocked that Steve Yzerman had the balls of steel to go this far off the board, passing on potential stars. But there was some positivity, stating that one must trust the Yzer plan. The season following the draft, Seider would make his North American debut for the Grand Rapids Griffins of the AHL, where he would once again prove all the things we already knew. However, the pandemic would happen. Thus, Seider would make the interesting decision to join Rogel BK of the SHL. And well, this was an amazing decision, as that season, Seider would see exponential growth, specifically on the offensive end, as he would put up 28 points in 41 SHL games and claim SHL Defenseman of the Year. Extremely impressive, as he was still a teenager playing against men in one of the lowest scoring leagues in the world. And finally, the next season, Red Wings fans would get to see Seider make his debut, where Seider would explode onto the scene, recording 8 points in his first 9 games, laying the boom on NHL players, while at the same time showing his elite vision, passing ability. In the same complete game, Seider had been demonstrating his entire career. And remember how scouts were concerned about his offense? Well, Seider would finish the season with 50 points and win the Calder by a landslide, even against tough competition, including Trevor Zegras and his teammate Lucas Raymond. Wait, what? Okay, Michael Bunting, get out of here. Shoo! And today, on an exciting up-and-coming Red Wings team, Seider looks like a potential generational defenseman who will be competing against Cale Makar for the Norris. During the build-up to this draft, there was a lot of drama on who was going number 1. In fact, one of my first videos to gain traction was me talking about how I thought Jack Hughes was going number 1.
Kakko's performance, could he really test the number 1 spot? And to that I say, no.
And so where did it go viral, you ask? I woke up the next morning to find out this video gained nearly 10,000 views overnight in Finland, where I would get roasted for my take. And as we know, Jack Hughes would in fact be drafted first overall. Except, Jack Hughes would also have one of the worst seasons for a first overall pick in NHL history, as he would have a very disappointing 7 goals, 21 points in 61 games, which ranks only behind Joe Thornton's 8 points in the last 3 decades. But, Jack Hughes would break out this season, once again showing his franchise potential.
Backhand, he scored!
As he put up 26 goals, 56 points in 49 games, emphasizing why us fans need to be patient, as he still has the upside to be a 100-point first-line center. At number 2, we had Kaapo Kakko. I don't know if it's his current role in New York, but his development has been a disaster, which honestly really surprised me, especially after his monster draft year, where he would dominate against men in Liga, and he would even light up the World Championships. Yet, it hasn't translated. He's shown some good work on the defensive end, but considering he was being compared to Jágr, it has been disappointing thus far, as he had 18 points in 43 games this past season. But again, it's still early, and at one point, Kakko did prove to have the upside of a star, so maybe a change of scenery is what's needed. At number 3, the Blackhawks would draft Kirby Dach, which at the time was a bit of a reach. But considering that Dach is 6'4" and is a great skating, playmaking center, you could definitely understand the appeal. Except, Dach too has had a turbulent early career, as he would have an okay rookie season with 23 points in 64 games, would play extremely well in his first NHL playoffs. He would start the next season hot with 10 points in 18 games. However, it would happen, as Dach would pretty much have to beg GM Stan Bowman to allow him to play in the World Juniors, and he would even be named captain. However, Kirby Dach would break his hand during an exhibition, and as a result, would miss the entirety of the season. And so finally, this year, his development case has definitely not been helped, as the Blackhawks are a dumpster fire. And so Dach would fail to see development, which is concerning. But there was a silver lining, as the Montreal Canadiens would make a massive splash at the draft, as they would trade Alex Romanov for pick 13, and would then proceed to flip that pick in pick 66 for Kirby Dach. And so just like Kakko, a fresh start may be exactly what Dach needs. At number 4, the Avalanche would pick up Bowen Byram from the pick they got from Ottawa for Matt Duchene. However, what do you know? More turbulence, as Bowen Byram has sustained 2 major concussions, which has set back his NHL career. This past season, through 30 games, Byram looked like a stud. 17 points in 30 games, and he would play a massive role for the Avalanche, stepping up when the blue line saw injuries, putting up 9 points in 20 playoff games, and showing a potential elite 2-way game. At number 5, the LA Kings would select Alex Turcotte, teammate of Jack Hughes, and Turcotte would go on to having a respectable freshman season in the NCAA in the past couple seasons, where he has now spent the majority of his time in the minors. Now, he did catch COVID, which really set him back, but he has been developing well. 18 points in 27 games this past season, and Turcotte still projects as a solid second-line 2-way center. So again, it begs the question, how in the hell did Moritz Seider get overlooked? As Seider's trajectory, developmental history, has only shown non-stop upward development. And ironically enough, Seider is the only one out of the top 6 of this draft that hasn't had a turbulent career. And in my opinion, going back and looking through scouting reports, the one main concern about Seider was his offensive upside, as this draft was so talented that it was a risk to draft a defenseman who sure has great defensive abilities, but that is a trait that usually translates into a solid top 4 defenseman, not that franchise top 2 piece that you're looking for with pick number 6. So combine this with the fact that he was playing in the DEL in a role that didn't put Seider in a position to put up lots of points, which, don't get me wrong, was not a bad thing, but considering the fact that he was already bound to get underscouted because of the league he was playing in, which if we look back is very reminiscent to 2017, where teams were afraid of Cale Makar and Elias Pettersson due to the uncertainty of competition. Teams failed to realize the potential Seider had. That is besides Yzerman. And if Seider becomes that Norris winning defenseman, teams are going to feel stupid for overlooking his talent, as this has been a constant theme over the past several drafts, which I could only imagine is going to cause a ripple effect of teams expanding their scouting department to make sure that they are covering more leagues so that players like Seider don't slip through their fingers.